Summary of 201 Ways to Say No Gracefully and Effectively. A Quick Tip Survival Guide. By Alan Axelrod and Jim Holtje. Some basic principles of saying no. If you really mean no, don't say yes. You can say no a number of ways, including helping others see your point of view. One of the most effective ways to get them to see things your way is to make an effort to see things their way. Instead of saying no, compromise and negotiate a favorable solution. Some basic ways to say no are: if you feel uncomfortable saying no and tend to say yes when you mean no, take a deep breath and pause for a few seconds to interrupt your usual yes response. That makes it easier to say the no you want to say. A good way to say no is to divide it into 3 parts. First, briefly restate the request someone has made to show you acknowledge and understand it. Second, quickly and politely say no. Third, show your appreciation to the person for having made the request. Don't say no to the individual. Instead, say no to the request the person has made. Look at your no from the perspective of the other person's self-interest, and then try to convince him that your no is the best response for him and not just for you. For instance, point out that you can't meet a deadline because you don't want to. Shortchange the project by producing a hasty but poor result. Rather than saying no completely, see if there is a way to negotiate a win-win solution for both of you. If you decide to negotiate, have a clear idea of what you want and be realistically optimistic that you can achieve your objectives. If you know that your no will create a confrontation, plan how to engage. Decide what you want and figure out the other person's likely objections, so you can better respond. You have the right to say no. Don't feel guilty. When you say no, avoid expressing strong emotions. A no can often trigger emotional responses in the other person, so you should remain calm. If you overreact, you'll aggravate the other person's negative feelings. Saying no at the office. You can say no when people try to give you more work than you want or ask you do something else you don't want to do. It is your right to refuse to feel guilt when you choose not to be imposed on. Take the moral and emotional equivalent of the Fifth Amendment. After saying, no, I'm sorry, I can't do it, remain silent. At the office, you can use these approaches to say no. If you want to turn down an assignment, persuade your boss that your talents and skills could be used more effectively on another project. When you don't want to do an assignment, offer another suggestion, rather than simply saying no. When declining an assignment, cite a past accomplishment and show why this assignment isn't suitable for you, whereas the other one was. If a colleague or co-worker tries to talk you into a job, saying you are the only one who can do the job right, respond to their use of flattery by saying you're flattered. But then point out that others are available and qualified to do the work. If you can't make a meeting or a scheduled assignment, provide an explanation, not an excuse. Usually it's a good idea to say why you are saying no, but sometimes it's better to clearly state no, and not get caught up in a debate. Avoid using negative words such as impossible, mistaken, can't, tired, won't, and ridiculous when you say no to your boss. Make your no sound as positive as possible by suggesting alternatives, such as, I'm better at another type of work, or, this approach will be more cost-effective. Saying no to salespeople, clients, and customers. Sometimes you have to say no to outside contacts, including salespeople, clients, and, most difficult, customers. Avoid basing a no on company policy. This makes your firm look rigid and bureaucratic, as if it values rules and routines above service and customers. You can use these strategies. Don't invite debate when you tell a salesperson no, just state your no clearly and firmly to show you mean it. If you get a junk call and you know you don't want to buy what the salesperson is offering, it's best to politely interrupt the salesperson and say you aren't interested. Then, if the salesperson tries to keep selling you, hang up the phone. When you turn down a proposal, say no to that rather than to the person making the proposal. This way you keep the door open to future proposals that might be beneficial to you or your company. If you have to say no to a client or customer, do so in a way that shows you care. Although you still can't do what the person wants. Be ready to say no when enough is enough. Don't feel you have to continue doing something because you have done it before. Come up with alternatives when you have to say no to clients and customers, such as telling a customer you can lower the costs if the customer increases the size of the order. Saying no to subordinates, job seekers, and requests for money. Money makes people tongue-tied, but you can offer a straightforward no. You can also learn to turn down requests from those who work for you or those who want to. Here's how. If you want to turn down a charitable request, remind yourself you don't need to feel guilty and don't have to explain why you don't want to contribute. Just politely turn down the request. Propose a compromise if someone asks you for a payment now, such as when a vendor wants an early payment. You might offer to pay now in exchange for better terms. If an employee wants a raise you don't want to give, the best way to say no is to clearly explain your reason and offer a hope for the future when you might say yes. Should you feel an employee deserves a raise, but you can't give it due to your budget, combine saying no with a positive, such as praise to show the employee that she is valued. If you are interviewing a job applicant you don't want to hire, you can send a letter to break the news. If an unsuccessful candidate you are interviewing wants to know if he has a chance at the job, it is better to be frank and diplomatic. For instance, say you have interviewed others with more experience who better fit the job, rather than misleading the person with praise and false hopes. Saying no to cursing, demands, and time wasters. You don't have to put up with profanity, nuisances, unreasonable demands, or people who waste your time. Whenever you are tempted to waste time or to heed the advice of people who waste time, say no to that choice by recalling the old Spanish adage, tomorrow is the busiest day of the week. Here are some tactics. If someone asks you a personal or inappropriate question, simply say politely that you don't want to answer it. Avoid showing offense. If you are the victim of office gossip, politely and directly confront the person who is gossiping about you. In private, invite the person to talk about his or her feelings. If you are in a position of authority and are aware of office gossip, don't pass on rumors yourself as an example to others. Tell your subordinates that spreading rumors harms the company. If someone is telling jokes you find sexually offensive or racist, you might try ignoring the first offense. But if this continues, meet privately with the person, tell him you are uncomfortable, and ask him to stop. If someone tries to impose on you or nags you repeatedly about something, tell them you can't respond now because you are busy. Perhaps suggest another time when the person could approach you. If someone is a habitual naysayer, avoid trying to turn him into an optimist. Try to bypass personality and focus on the issues, such as suggesting getting more facts to show why an idea works. If someone has unreasonable demands, bring in the support of an anonymous but powerful third party. For instance, call upon the boss or point out that you can't do something because your accountants or attorneys advise against it. If a customer or client wants you to bend the rules, diplomatically explain why you can't do it. Try not to adopt a righteous attitude that puts the customer or client in the wrong. If someone with an unreasonable demand wants an immediate response, avoid a confrontation by seeking a delay. For instance, explain you need more time to get information. If you feel someone is a time waster, such as the colleague who drops by at your desk to chat, use a little small talk to create rapport, but cut off the conversation politely if it becomes too much. Explain what you have to do, rather than just curtly saying you are busy. In some cases, you can enlist others in the office to help you diplomatically cut off a time waster. Ask them to interrupt you, so you can tell the caller that you must leave. Saying no to bullies, impossible assignments, and bad ideas. Since you are no longer on the 5th grade playground, you don't have to put up with bullies, dares, or bad ideas. You don't owe anyone an explanation when you refuse to be imposed on. In these cases, "Sorry, I can't," is an appropriate response. Here's how to turn them down. When someone tries to bully you, you can try to bring that person down to size in your own eyes by noticing his own inadequacies, so you feel less like a child. Calm a bully by finding some way to compliment him, even if you think about him negatively. When a bully tries to intimidate you by being noisy and aggressive, suggest taking time to calm down and talk about the subject later. If an assignment seems truly impossible, tell your boss your doubts and back these up with your well-thought-out reasons and facts. When you say no to an assignment, don't attack the abilities or authority of the person giving you the assignment. Rather just focus on the facts and issues and present the problems to the person in a calm, diplomatic way. If someone has a bad idea, explain why it is bad if you can. Otherwise, try to put the idea on the back burner. You might find some way to make the idea workable, or, dream on, maybe the other person will forget about it.